Hi everyone. If you haven't met me before, I'm Wendy Appleton. I'm part of the management team at Crystal Interactive, and it's my absolute pleasure to introduce you all to Andrew Carne, who's the Global Procurement Manager from BP. Welcome, Andrew, and thanks so much for sparing the time to be with us today.
Thanks, Wendy. Thanks, everybody, and nice to see you.
Okay, so let's start with an easy question for you, Andrew.
Sure.
Would you be able to tell us a little bit about your role at BP and perhaps give us an insight into the world of events for BP?
Yep, sure. So, again, thanks for having me today. I am a global procurement manager at BP. So, I look after several categories of spend, I guess, if you want to call it that, in BP, one of which being meetings and events. And traditionally, I've worked within meetings, events, and travel. But I also look after the reward category and also the mobility category. So, all within our sort of digital and talent area of BP procurement, which keeps me very busy. Um, in terms of events, where are we? It's interesting. I mean, every different organization, right, is sort of, you can call it post-COVID, if we can call it that. Um, but we've seen a good uptick of the events coming back, especially where we are externally looking and have client obligations and have things to tell people. So that's quite interesting. I think our internal events are, where we used to have sort of internal corporate events, probably slowly coming back here and there, but not as much because we've got so much work to do and so busy through our sort of quite long and very busy and fast-paced transformations. So I'd say that's where we're at. In terms of sort of the digital element of the events, absolutely, if there's an event to be had, we're making sure we can include probably things like website registrations and mobile apps and things like that, not only to ensure we can collect some data and all that good stuff, but also just to engage, make sure that people can engage with each other, with the event planner, and we can really communicate the aims and objectives of events as well to make sure we're all on the same page as we start day one of a particular event.
Let's go back to the beginning. Can you walk us through what you were looking for before you started talking to Crystal? What was the requirement at the time in 2018
Mm.
and the type of support that you needed?
Yeah, so around that time, we wanted to sort of relook at everything we did in meetings and events, and we thought the cornerstone of that was absolutely digital. We wanted to make sure that not only things for like our requesting and our venue sourcing and all of that, we want to make sure our events, when at an event, were had that much more that digital element. Again, reflecting back on sort of engaging with our communities and our with our attendees. So at that time, we were looking to put a supply contract in with Cvent, and we wanted to see how we could make sure that sort of lived and breathed throughout our organization. And what did we need at that time? And when, we quite quickly realized we wanted to make sure that was sort of right sized for BP. It's a big platform. There's a lot of things in there. How could we make sure that that again sort of came true for BP in a way? We are, every different organization has different requirements. So we felt that Crystal at that time or bringing in a third party to that relationship was actually really, really key to keep us honest in terms of looking at the wider aspect and also not just thinking it's a platform that we're delivering and putting into BP. It's actually what is the end game? How is it going to deliver for our attendees, for our event planners? And that's where we thought we definitely needed a sort of a platform administrator, but also a team who can deliver the output of the for the actual events as well.
You touched on Cvent then, and this is a platform that many of us are familiar with within the industry. Which area of the platform in particular do you feel that you now needed help with?
It was really all of it, I would say, Wendy. I think it was right from the platform system administrator role, which of course Event could do, but again we wanted a sort of a third pair of eyes or more to make sure it lived and breathed for us. We clearly needed uh, and what we wanted is to have, we didn't want to lose, because BP is set up in a way where we have many different event planners across our whole organization, which can be very, very varied and maybe not connected as much as we would like. So actually acting as that kind of connector was really, really important for us. So building a website registration over here, building a mobile app over here, delivering some sort of virtual event or on arrival over there, actually that connection to say, well, there's another event happening, and actually, by the way, there's some similarities, there's very many differences as well. You could come in and connect the dots there and say, well, let's not start over again, or let's not lose our, I guess, any of the knowledge that we've built up or the experience. And you could add there, because not all of our event planners are going to, if I'm honest, learn Cvent and be in Cvent day to day. So that's where that really helped us to make sure that those, we didn't lose time, but we also we learned the tool more, and we could start to understand what really worked for BP and what didn't. And I think we've still got a long way to go as well. I think we're using maybe one corner of Cvent. I think we could use plenty more, and we look forward to doing that in partnership with you guys as well.
Yeah, and we absolutely do too. What were the deciding factors and thought processes when you selected Crystal as your event tech provider?
Really interesting. I think
Sorry.
if I go back to it, like a lot of things, timing is everything, right? And I think I remember being at some kind of event, an events event, and meeting one of you, two of you guys. And at the time, we were sort of fishing around with the idea of bringing third party, and actually what we saw from that relationship, and that helped us to go away and have a think about it more. Again, just really landing on the why do we need a third pair of eyes? We love the fact that you're kind of agnostic to all the technology that's out there. So whilst we work in Cvent, we do have some other event tools and technologies as well. And by the way, you've got some partnerships with those, which is really fantastic. Sort of polling and wearables and some other bits, and plus some of your own technology as well, right? So that really helped us to think, wow, this is and dare I say it, bigger than Cvent. This is more about BP as a whole, and we wanted a partner who's going to come in, be creative, but absolutely get events as well, and not be too detached from them. I think it's fair to say all of your team have worked on ground level. They've been there behind the clipboard or behind the mixing desk or whatever you want to call it, and seen it, smelt it, felt the pain of it, wore the scars, but in all the right ways, and actually delivered fantastic and really successfully. So actually, you guys being there felt like it was a really good mix to translate that to all our events, again in person, but actually going up a level to understand um, how we want to sort of manipulate Cvent and press the right buttons and pull the right levers to make sure the system platform worked in the right way too. And again, I don't want to say that Cvent wouldn't have done that, but I think the size of your organisation, and the closeness and creativity felt like that was the right fit for us as we sort of we work through things, and it's still successful now in 2023. So that's good.
You mentioned a short while ago about the BP event planners. I know that we work directly with both the event planners as well as the agencies that work with BP. What value do you think we add when working directly with both the event planners and the agencies?
I think so. Again, it's the continuity of service. It's the not always starting on a blank sheet of paper, but by the way, if you have to, you've got the creativity to do that, which is great. Um, Again, you've got that integrity of you've been there, done that, been on the ground level, um, so you can talk quite honestly and openly with the event agencies and share that. And actually, by the way, you continue to do that, and sometimes you're both there, in the event, and the event agency can focus really on the content and delivery, knowing that they've got a sort of trusted pair of hands using some of that technology and support for app or on arrival or whatever it might be that's actually on the ground there. So I think you really you sort of add that lovely extra element between those parties, a bit of like a Venn diagram coming together. I think you act as one of those really well, and then for we get that lovely sweet spot in the middle, um, where of course the BP attendees don't know any different, and hopefully the event planners feel like they can really just focus on on the delivery and the content rather than the running around and everything else. So no, I think you do that really well. Plus, again, you're system administrator, so you get to work a lot inside the tool for us, bring together data, um, start to give suggestion, good constructive, not criticism, but sort of constructive kind of areas we could focus on as well. So that taking that from an agency where you're maybe not even involved, taking that from BP, taking that from the event planners, taking that from ourselves in procurement, and sort of looking across the macro view of it all. That's again a really great sweet spot to be in.
Okay, so to wrap up now, and in one sentence, and I apologise, it's always quite mean to put someone on the spot, but how would you describe the relationship between Crystal and BP? Just one
Just
sentence.
one sentence. Wow, as you can see, I'm not the greatest of just squeezing it into one sentence. So, um, okay, it's a mutually creative relationship built upon trust, um, and it's built upon and providing trust across a hugely diverse digital events portfolio. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. But to add some, I want to say more. Of course, I want to say more. But to add some sort of cringy level to it all, into my one sentence, I'd say it's largely about people, right? The people, Crystal, being human beings. You understand human beings and human behaviour. You understand the weird and wonderful ways of myself and colleagues who work with you guys. So there's like this really naturally fitting thing with our employee base, event planners, event agencies. So there's a lot of trust and about people as well, which we find it fantastic to work with you guys.
That was an amazing sentence, although maybe a small paragraph, but very good.
Yeah,
Thank you. So, Andrew, I'd just like to say thanks so much for joining me today. It's
no
been
problem.
lovely talking to you as always, and here's to many, many more happy years working together.
Thanks, Wendy. Thank you. Hope it's a good rest of your session. Thanks, everybody.
And that's a wrap. Thanks, folks.